Welcome to Infidelity Cheating Stories. I hope you like the story. Let's begin. The darkness of the night was at its peak. Light raindrops were falling on the window panes, and all in the room was the ticking clock and the blue light of the computer screen. Eric Stone sat alone in his study. A sea of intricate lines of coding stretched out on the screen in front of him. "Security breach detected" was flashing in red letters. Eric's eyebrows furrowed, and he ran his fingers sharply over the keyboard. "How can that be?" she muttered to herself. His company, which was considered unmatched in the world of cybersecurity, was itself a victim of attack today. There was a slight knock on the door. Her assistant, Kelly, was standing in the doorway. "Sir, our team has done a preliminary investigation. The attack is not from outside, but from within." "What?" Eric's eyes widened. "Someone has created a backdoor entry in our system. No external hacker can do this. Show me the logs, and I need a record of every single access point." "Yes, sir." Kelly walked out of the room, and Eric took a deep breath. Thousands of questions were swirling in his mind. He knew that if this attack came from within, it meant that there was a traitor in his midst. He called Andrew Clark, his most trusted friend and business partner. "Andrew, I need your help." "What happened, Eric? Your voice doesn't sound right." "We have been attacked. It's not from the outside, it's from the inside. Someone is deceiving us. I'll be back to you in half an hour." As soon as he hung up, Eric slid his chair back and headed for the balcony. The light rain began to soak his face. There was a stir on the road below, but Eric's mind was going through a storm. Eric's company, Stone Security International, was considered the most trusted cybersecurity firm in the world, but today she herself was the victim of the attack. Andrew arrived at the office and came straight to Eric's room. "Are you sure it happened from the inside?" asked Andrew. "Yes, and I want to know who has done it." "All right, I'll review the logs. But Eric, this attack didn't just happen to steal data. I think there's something else behind it." "What do you mean?" "This attack is a message. Someone wants to tell us that we are not safe. And maybe that's just the beginning." The next morning, Eric was meeting with his company's internal team. Logs and activity reports were being shown on the screen. "Look at this IP address. It's been used from within our network." Andrew pointed at the screen. "Whose account was it?" asked Eric. "This account? It was logged in with your wife Sophia's account." There was silence in the room. Eric's face hardened. It's impossible. Why would Sophia do that?" "It doesn't necessarily mean he did it. It is possible that his account has been hacked by someone, but we have to find out." At night, Eric arrived home. There was a faint light burning in the living room. Sophia sat on the sofa, holding a glass of wine in her hand. "Why did you come so late, Eric?" he asked with a smile. "There was a lot of work." "You look very tired. Is everything all right?" "Yes, it's all right." Eric looked at her face intently. There was something artificial in his smile. "Sophia, have you accessed the company's network in the last few days?" Sophia's face hardened slightly. "I didn't do anything like that. Why are you asking me this?" "Just like that." Eric didn't say anything and went straight to the study room. In the silence of the night, Eric turned on Sophia's laptop. He had some suspicious files and emails on his screen. One of the emails caught his eye. "The deal has been finalized. Be prepared for the next step. www. William Cross?" William Cross was the most powerful and cunning businessman in the city. Eric knew that William was not only involved in business, but also in many illegal activities. In the morning, Andrew arrived at the office. "Eric, I've got a location. Black Swan Hotel. Sophia's location was traced there last week. We have to go there. I want to know the truth." The Black Swan Hotel was the most expensive and secret hotel in the city. Eric and Andrew arrived at the hotel lobby. "What room was Sophia in?" "Room number 709 inches." Eric and Andrew dodged the hotel staff and approached the room. The door was locked, but there were faint noises inside. Eric put his hand on the door and opened the door lightly. The sight inside was soul-stirring. Sophia was in the room, and in front of her, William Cross stood. "Oh, Eric." "You here?" said William, smiling. "Sophia, what's all this?" Eric's voice trembled. Sophia tried to say something, but the words stuck on her tongue. Now it wasn't just a cyber attack. It was a story of betrayal, conspiracy, and revenge. There was silence in the room. Sophia's face was clearly visible in the dim light. There was a mixture of nervousness and remorse in his eyes. William Cross stood in his place, staring at Eric with a confident smile. "You shouldn't have been here, Eric," said William, pausing his voice. "And you think I'll back off without seeing all this?" Eric's voice was full of anger. Sophia slowly stepped towards Eric. "Eric, it's not what you're thinking. I can explain everything." "Can you explain?" "You know, Sophia, once trust is broken, it's not easy to mend it." William clapped his palm like a clap, and 2 armed guards came into the room. "I'm sorry, Eric, but it's not safe for you to stay here anymore. And anyway, you've seen what you had to see here." Andrew, who was standing near the door, gently grabbed the pistol he had concealed in his jacket. "You can't talk to us like that, William." "Oh, Andrew, you are also here. I thought you'd be smart, but I guess you're stuck in this game with Eric." Just then, Andrew quickly aimed at one of the guards and fired. The room echoed with the sounds of gunshots. Eric grabbed Sophia's hand and ran towards the door, pulling her away. William took aim at them one last time, but they both managed to get out of the door. Eric and Sophia's breathing quickened as they ran down the hotel corridor. The voices of the guards could be heard from behind. Andrew gestured to both of them to head towards a back exit. "The car's ready downstairs." "Hurry up," shouted Andrew. The 3 reached the parking area with brisk steps. Andrew started the car, and Eric and Sophia sat in the back seat. The car quickly exited the hotel gate and got lost in the darkness. The car stopped in a secluded area a few miles away. It was pitch dark all around. Only the headlights of the car were illuminating the ground. Eric took a deep breath and looked at Sophia. "Now speak, Sophia. What is the truth? What were you doing to William?" Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes. I know what it all looks like, but I wasn't cheating on you, Eric. Your emails, your pictures, a $5 million transaction. What's all this?" "William blackmailed me. He threatened me that if I didn't listen to him, he would liquidate your company." "And what did you do, Sophia?" I tried not to believe his words, but I became weak. Andrew interrupted. "But Sophia, a $5 million transaction is such a big deal. It can't just be blackmail. That money, I didn't transfer him. It was all set up. Someone used my account." Eric covered his face with his palm. "So what's next, Andrew?" "We have to go back to the office. We have the data of the black box. We have to go to AITA." Over the next few hours, Eric, Sophia, and Andrew made the move to Stone Security headquarters. The office was deserted. Only the faint light of the computer monitors was visible. Andrew immediately opened the laptop and started scanning the data from the black box. Hundreds of files began to open on the screen. "Look at this," said Andrew in an excited tone. "What is it?" asked Eric. "This is an internal mail. It states that the next phase of the Phoenix Protocol has begun. And the location, Southport, is Dockyard." "Dockyard?" said Sophia in astonishment. "Yes. Everything is under control from there. If we get there, we might get the mastermind's name." It was about to dawn. Eric, Andrew, and Sophia were all headed to Southport Dockyard. Outside the window of the car, the waves of the sea were shining in the faint light. "Will it all ever end, Eric?" asked Sophia softly. "Yes, but I can't promise that the outcome will be easy." Andrew pointed away. "That's the dockyard. We have to go in carefully. The dockyard was deserted. Large cranes and containers were scattered around. Guards were seen moving around in the dim light. How are we going to get in? Asked Sophia. There is a service tunnel. I know we can get in from there. The trio took advantage of the darkness to enter the dockyard. His breathing was rapid, and there was a sense of danger at every step. Inside there was a control room where data was being monitored on a large screen. Phoenix Protocol Final Phase Initiated was written on the screen. It's all operating from here. Andrew said. But who is the mastermind? Just then a deep voice came. Did you think, Eric, you're going to get this far? Eric looked back. There was a shadow in the darkness in front of me. The game was now in its final stages. But this was not just a battle, but a battle between truth and lies. The man standing in the dark corner of the dockyard slowly appeared. The faint light illuminated his face. He was none other than William Cross. There was the same confident sparkle in his eyes that Eric had seen before. Oh, Eric, I was sure you'd get this far, but it's amazing to see Sophia and Andrew with you. You seem to have strengthened your team. Eric pointed his pistol at him and said, The game is over, William. I've seen all your cards. Black box, $5 million, Sophia, everything. William laughed. His laughter echoed through the room. Eric, you're really innocent. Do you think all this is happening at my behest? Nope. I'm just a pawn. The real player is still behind the scenes. Andrew slowly opened his laptop and tried to hack the network. William, your game is over. No, Andrew. This is just the beginning. Just then, Phoenix Protocol activated, flashed on the big screen in the control room. Many codes on the screen were scrolling fast. What have you done, William? Shouted Eric. I've just started the last step. You don't have much time now, Eric. Just then, alarms started ringing all around. Red lights flashed throughout the dockyard. We've got to get out of here, shouted Andrew. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew hurried out of the control room. The sounds of gunfire echoed from behind. The guards were firing at them. Andrew pulled out the car keys and started the car. The trio quickly jumped into the car and exited the dockyard. On the way, Eric asked Andrew, Did you access the data? Yes, Eric, but some files are locked in it. We have to unlock it, and quickly. Sophia said softly, William wasn't lying. I looked into his eyes. He was just a pawn. There is someone else who is controlling all this. So we have to find that real mastermind. There was firmness in Eric's voice. A few hours later, the trio returned to Stone Security's headquarters. Andrew set up the laptop and started trying to unlock the data of the black box. It's very complicated encryption, Eric. It will take time to break it. We don't have time, Andrew. The Phoenix Protocol has been activated. We have to stop this. Just then, a file opened on the screen. Phoenix Protocol objective, complete financial takeover of Stone Security International. All this is being done to grab my company. Eric's voice was trembling. But who is the real mastermind? Asked Sophia. Andrew scanned the data more deeply. Look at this. An email with a signature of W. But who sent it? Eric looked up at the screen. There was a link to a location in the email. This location. This is from the old industrial area of the city. We've got to get there, Andrew said. The darkness of the night was spread all around. The industrial area was deserted. Broken buildings, fog, and dim lighting. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew got out of the car and reached the gate of a large factory. That's where everything is under control, Eric said in a whisper. As soon as he pushed the gate, he creaked open. The scene inside was like a high-tech crime hub. Codes on the screen, server systems, and armed guards were moving around. We have to reach the control room, Andrew said. The three proceeded cautiously. Dodging a guard, they reached the door of the control room. As soon as he entered, he saw a man sitting on a chair. His back was towards them. You shouldn't be here, Eric. The man turned towards them. Eric and Sophia had expressions of surprise and fear on their faces. How did you get here? That person was none other than Mark Weber, Eric's oldest friend and business partner. Mark? You? Is that all you're doing? Eric's voice was breaking. Yes, Eric, that's all I'm doing. And this is just the beginning. Do you think you can stop this game? This system will swallow you. You betrayed me, Mark. I trusted you. Mark pulled out his pistol and pointed it at Eric. There's nothing you can do now, Eric. It's all over. Just then, Sophia picked up an iron rod from behind and attacked Mark. The pistol fell away. Eric quickly picked up the pistol and aimed it at Mark. The game is over, Mark. Mark said with a deep laugh. This game isn't over yet, Eric. It's just the end of a chapter. The real mastermind is still behind the scenes. Mark had a slight smile on his lips, and his eyes closed slowly. There was silence in the room. There was tension on the faces of Eric, Sophia, and Andrew. What now, Eric? Asked Andrew. Now we have to reach the real mastermind. Whoever is playing this game has to stop. The three of them looked at each other. Police sirens could be heard in the distance. It wasn't the end. It was just a new beginning. There was a faint light in the dark room. Codes on computer monitors were scrolling faster. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood in the middle of the room. Mark's faceless body lay in front of them. There was a deep silence in the room, broken by the faint echoes of the monitor. Now what, Eric? Said Andrew softly. Mark was just a pawn, Andrew. The real player is still behind the scenes. We have to end the game here. Sophia glanced at the server in a corner. This server is still active. Can we get any more clues from here? Maybe. Andrew swiftly connected the laptop to the server. Files started opening on the screen. A new file named flashed. Omega Key. What is it? Asked Eric. It's an encrypted file. Maybe that's the key to the whole game. Andrew tried to break the codes. A few seconds later, the file opened. A location appeared on the screen. Atlantic Bridge, Facility X. The Atlantic Bridge? Asked Sophia questioningly. It's an old lab that the government shut down many years ago. But why this location? I think the real mastermind is right there. We have to get there right away, Eric said in a firm voice. In the dark of night, the car was moving towards the Atlantic Bridge at a high speed. It was raining lightly outside and the streets were deserted. Eric was driving, Andrew was scanning data on a laptop, and Sophia sat quietly in the back seat. Eric, how can this all be so big? Said Sophia softly. It's not just my company game, Sophia. This is a conspiracy to shake the entire system, and now we have to stop it. Andrew noticed another suspicious data pattern on the screen. There you have it. Omega Key seems to be not just a location, but a timer. Timer? Asked Eric. Yes. If we don't get there at the right time, maybe this whole system will destroy itself. The Atlantic Bridge was now in front, a huge, dilapidated bridge under which a deep stream of water flowed. There were factory-like buildings under the bridge, which were now in ruins. Faint lights were peeping from inside some of the buildings. That's the place. Eric stopped the car on the side of the bridge. We have to go inside, but carefully. This place could be a trap, warned Andrew. The three slowly started descending under the bridge. His steps were being carefully taken. There was silence all around. As soon as we entered the building, a huge hall appeared. There were many servers, monitors, and cables scattered there. There was a large chair in the middle, but it was empty. This place looks like a control center, Sophia said. But there's no one here. Andrew looked around. Just then, a video call on a screen was activated. A face appeared on the screen. William Cross. Did you guys get this far? Impressive. But this isn't the end, Eric. You're just at the beginning. William? You were killed, said Eric in astonishment. What was shown to you was just an illusion. Now the real game begins. And you don't have time to stop it. A timer appeared on the screen. 00:15 Odard. 15 minutes. What is it? Asked Sophia nervously. This system is going to destroy itself, and with that, every data it contains will be erased. We've got to stop this. Andrew quickly began to work on the keyboard. Andrew's hands were running rapidly over the keyboard as he entered the system. Eric and Sophia were looking around, anticipating the arrival of the guards. Just a few more seconds. I'm trying to bypass the system, Andrew said, wiping off the sweat. Just then, gunshots were heard from outside. They're here, said Eric. You guys take care of the system, I'll stop the guards. Eric pulled out a pistol and headed for the door. The guards were trying to get in. Gunshots echoed in the air. Sophia looked at Andrew. How long will it take? Just 2 minutes more. Eric overpowered one of the guards, but then a bullet went off, touching his arm. He groaned in pain, but he didn't give up. Done, shouted Andrew. The timer has stopped. The system has been frozen. The timer on the screen stuck at 0001 to 12. The system was secured. Eric came in with faltering steps. Did we stop it? Yes, Eric, we stopped it. But William, he's still out. And this danger is not over yet. Sophia looked at Eric. We have won a battle, but the battle is yet to come. Police cars were seen coming from outside. Sirens echoed in the building. It's just the end of a chapter. Now we have to get to the real William Cross and the real mastermind behind it. In the darkness of the night, Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood on the edge of the bridge, watching the sparkle of the city. After every fight, there's another fight. And Eric. Now I was ready to finish it. The darkness of the night was gradually deepening. The surface of the water under the bridge was glistening in the faint light. Somewhere in the distance, police cars, ambulances, and security personnel were stirring. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood by the bridge. There was fatigue in his eyes, light spots of blood on his face, and a feeling of an unfinished battle still in his heart. Andrew, the system has been locked, but William is still free. That means the game isn't over yet. Eric's voice was stern and firm. Yes, Eric, but we have evidence now. These files, these data, these will be enough to bring down William, Andrew said, showing some files on the laptop screen. Will that be enough to stop him? Asked Sophia in a worried tone. No, Sophia, this is just a start. We still have to get to the real mastermind, and I'm sure William will make his next move to get us there. The next day, Eric and Andrew Stone were at security headquarters. The entire building was under lockdown for safety. The codes for the Omega Protocol were still scrolling on the laptop screen. Eric, I've decrypted those codes. It is a live network which is updated every hour. And this network spread globally. You mean it's not just my company's case? No. This is an international conspiracy, and it can't be just one person's job. Just then, Eric received a call on his phone from an unknown number. Eric Stone, you've bothered me a lot. William? Yes, Eric. You tried to stop my plan, but you'll never get to reality. That's not your plan, William. You're just a pawn. Who is the real player? If you want to know, come stop me. I'm sending you the location, but remember, this is your last chance. The call was disconnected, and a message came to Eric's phone. The location was Stormhaven Island. Stormhaven Island was a secluded and mysterious place. The island was closed to ordinary sailors and tourists. The only way to get there was by special permission or by a secret boat. Eric, it could be a trap? Andrew said worriedly. Whether there is a trap or not, we have to go there. This is our last chance. I'm with you, Sophia said. The boat was sailing in the middle of the sea in the darkness of the night. It was raining lightly, and the waves were rocking the boat. Andrew was tracking the signal on his laptop. Eric, this place is a high-security zone. We have to proceed very carefully. We're ready, Andrew. The boat slowly reached the shore of Stormhaven Island. There was dense forest and silence all around. A faint light was shining from a building somewhere in the distance. From here onward, we have to walk. As they approached the building, the trio saw a tall, tower-like structure. There were several guards patrolling there. Andrew slowly launched a drone and began to watch its live feed on the screen. There are a lot of guards here, but there is a service tunnel under the tower. If we go in from there, we might be able to get in without anyone noticing us. The three carefully stepped at the entry point of the tunnel. There was a slight moisture and strange smell in the dark tunnel. "How long has this place been closed?" asked Sophia, whispering. "Probably for decades, but now it is being operated again." There was a large control room at the other end of the tunnel. Dozens of monitors, servers, and guards were sitting in their respective places. In the middle there was a Mon, William Cross. "You are here, Eric. It's all over, William. You've lost." "Defeat? No, Eric. It has just begun. Now the real game begins." Just then, another face emerged on the screen. The face was none other than that of Julian Gray, an international business tycoon and owner of the Gupta Empire. "Oh, Eric, you've worked so hard to get here, but this will be your last night." "Julian, you? Was this all your plan?" "Yes. And now the world will bow at my feet. And you'll just be a part of history." William turned on a big switch. "Global activation in progress," flashed on the screen. "Andrew, bypass the system," shouted Eric. "I'm trying, but it's network secure." Bullets rang out all around. The guards attacked. Andrew took over a server and quickly entered the codes. "Eric, I need some more time." Sophia attacks a guard, and Eric begins to pursue William. William ran out through a large door. Eric took aim at him, but William saved himself. "You think you can stop it, Eric?" "You're too late," Eric said angrily. "It will all come to an end, today." Just then, Andrew's voice came. "Done, Eric. I've frozen the system." All the monitors went black. The alarms went off. William fell to his knees. How can this be?" "It's your end, William." Sophia and Andrew came into the room. The police cars were out. "This battle has been won, but Julian Gray is still out." In the darkness of the night, the moon was shining above the building. The game wasn't over. The mastermind was still free, but Eric... Now he was ready for the final battle. The waves of the sea were slowly crashing against the shores. Clouds were overcast over Stormhaven Island, and light rain cooled the entire area. Eric, Sophia, and Andrews stood on the edge of a deserted cliff. The buildings of Stormhaven behind them were now quiet. Everything had come to a standstill, but the storm of questions in his mind was still going on. "Eric, we shut down the system, but Julian Gray is still out. He's still hiding somewhere and planning his next move," Andrew said seriously. "Yes, Andrew. But now we have that data, which is enough to drop it." "Should we go to the police?" asked Sophia softly. "No, not yet. Julian will have the means to access the system again. We have to first make sure that he can never start it again," Eric said. Andrew opened the laptop and started scanning the files. "Eric, look at this. Julian has set up another server location. This location, Marine Tech Center near Singapore. Meaning it's spread globally. If we don't get there, he might launch it again," Sophia said. "We have to go to Singapore, and quickly." The next day, the trio flew to Singapore on a private jet. There was a stir in the air. Eric was looking out the window. There was a view of the dense forest and the deep sea below. Sophia was sitting next to him. "Eric, will we have a chance to stop all this?" "We don't need a chance, Sophia. We have to end it. This fight is not just for my company. It is a fight for the entire system." Andrew was rescanning the data on the laptop. "There's something strange here. This location is not just a server room. It is a full functioning lab. Maybe something is happening there that cannot even be imagined." The jet landed at a private airstrip on the outskirts of Singapore. The light rain was still continuing. There were dense forests and unpaved roads all around. The trio rented a jeep and started heading towards the Marine Tech Center. "It's not going to be easy to get there. Security will be tight," Andrew said. "We'll have to wait until nightfall. In the darkness we can sneak in." The darkness of the night had fallen. The Marine Tech Center was a huge, high-tech building, surrounded by high fences and armed guards. A faint light was shining on the upper floors of the building. "We can enter from the left side. There's a service entry there," Andrew said, pointing to the map. The trio carefully crossed the fence and reached the service entry. Inside, there was a long, narrow tunnel leading to the main lab. The view inside the lab was incredible. Large monitors, dozens of scientists wearing white coats sat in front of computers. In the middle was a huge glass container with blue light shining through it. "What is it?" asked Sophia, surprised. "It's a data processing hub, and I think that's the real heart of Phoenix Protocol." Just then, Julian Gray appeared on a platform above. He had a confident smile on his face. "Eric, you're here again. I'll admit you're pretty smart. But can you stop it?" Julian pressed a button and the screen flashed with Phoenix Protocol, final deployment in 10 minutes, written on it. "Why are you doing all this, Julian?" shouted Eric. "Money? Nope. It's much bigger than that. I want to run the world the way I want, and this system will give me that power." Andrew quickly accessed the server and tried to deactivate it. "Eric, I need time." "We don't have time, Andrew." That's when the guards attacked them. Bullets began to fly. Eric overpowered one guard and Sophia knocked another guard unconscious. "Just a few more seconds," shouted Andrew. Julian pressed another button and the server room was stirred. "You can't stop it, Eric!" Eric picked up a pistol and shot directly at the control panel. Sparks flashed on the screen and the server system suddenly shut down. "No! How can that be?" cried Julian angrily. Andrew looked up at the screen. "We stopped it. The Phoenix Protocol has been destroyed." Julian pulled a pistol out of his pocket and pointed it at Eric. "You ruined my dream, Eric." Just then, Sophia attacked Julian from behind. The pistol fell down. Eric grabbed Julian. "The game is over, Julian." The first rays of the morning were coming in through the broken windows of the lab. Police and security agencies had reached there. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood outside watching the lab burn. "It's over, Eric," Andrew said. "No, Andrew, it's just the end of a chapter. But we have been able to save the world from another war." Sophia held Eric's hand. "You should be proud of what you did." Eric took a deep breath and looked at the waves of the distant sea. The path to truth is difficult, but in the end, it wins. The waves of the sea were turning golden in the first rays of the sun. A light breeze washing Eric's face, but his eyes were immersed in deep thought. The scars of what had happened on Stormhaven Island and the Marine Tech Center were still deep on his mind. The trio of Eric, Sophia, and Andrew had arrived at a safe location, which was Stone Security's secret safe house. There was silence in the room. Andrew was scrambling the data on the laptop, and Sophia was standing near the window looking out at the sea. Eric picked up a glass of water on the table and said softly, "We blocked the Phoenix Protocol, but that doesn't mean the threat has passed." Andrew took his eyes off the screen and looked at Eric. "You're right, Eric. It wasn't just about technology or data. It was an ideological battle. And as long as the people behind that ideology are alive, this threat will never end." Sophia took a deep breath and turned to Eric. "So what's next, Eric? What are we going to do now?" "We have to connect the remaining threads. This network was spread all over the world. If we are to eliminate it completely, we must break every single link." Andrew said in a sudden, excited tone, "Eric, I've recovered another file from the server. It's called the Dark Veil." "Dark Veil? What is it?" asked Sophia. "That's another plan. It has coordinates from multiple locations: London, Tokyo, Dubai, and New York. Sleeper cells of Phoenix Protocol are activated in all these places." The danger isn't over yet. There was firmness in Eric's voice. "And the most dangerous thing, the control of these sleeper cells is in someone else's hands. And I think that's the real mastermind," Andrew said. "So we have to go to these locations. Every single sleeper cell has to be destroyed." 3 days later, Eric, Sophia, and Andrew split themselves into separate missions. Sophia went to Dubai, Andrew Tokyo, and Eric headed to London. London, England. The darkness of the night was spread all around. Eric was standing outside an old warehouse. This was the same place from where the London sleeper cell was operating. He checked the pistol in his jacket pocket and slowly opened the door. The scene inside was like a high-tech control room. The feeds of global networks were visible on the monitors. In the middle stood a man, Derek Blake, a former British intelligence officer. "How did you get here, Eric?" said Derek in a cold voice. "The game is over, Derek. I'm here to stop you." "You think you can do it all alone?" Just then, the guards surrounded Eric. But Eric was already ready. He knocked down one guard, aimed at another, and quickly reached the control panel. "There's nothing you can do, Eric. The system is secure." Derek laughed. "But you're forgetting that, Derek. I didn't just come here to talk." Eric took out a USB drive and plugged it into the system. It was written on the screen, "System override initiated." "Now the game is not in your hands, Derek." Suddenly, the entire network's data was locked. Derek angrily pointed the pistol at Eric, but before that, Eric knocked him unconscious. Tokyo, Japan. Andrew had disabled the sleeper cell's control center in Tokyo. He had deep injuries, but he succeeded. Dubai, UAE. Sophia reached the control room in Dubai's tallest tower. He destroyed the system there with his cleverness and courage. The three met again at a safe location. There was tiredness on their faces, but satisfaction in their eyes. "We have disabled 3 locations, but New York is still active," Andrew said, showing the screen on the laptop. "We have to go to New York. This will be the last battle." Sophia held Eric's hand. "Can we get over it? We have to finish. It is our responsibility." New York, USA. It was nighttime. The three were standing in front of a huge skyscraper in Manhattan. This building was the last abode of sleeper cells. "That's where everything is under control. We have to stop it at any cost." The three of them searched for a way inside. Leading up the stairs, guards were stationed on every floor. The sounds of gunfire were echoing, and the danger was increasing with every step. As soon as they reached the top floor, they saw a large control room, and in the center of it stood Julian Gray. "So you finally got here. But it's too late now." The timer on the screen had started. 0:05 Ogor. "This can't be over, Julian," shouted Eric. "But it will happen, Eric. You've lost." Andrew and Sophia swiftly tried to disable the server. A conflict ensued between Eric and Julian. In the final seconds, Andrew disconnected the server. The screen read, "System failure. Phoenix protocol terminated." Julian fell to his knees. How can this end?" Eric looked at her. "Because the truth always wins." With the first rays of dawn, Manhattan's buildings were glowing. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew were standing on the edge of a bridge watching the sun rise. Every war has an end, but some wounds are always there. The New York sky was painted in shades of light orange and pink. The first rays of the sun were falling on the skyscrapers, as if the city was rediscovering its old identity. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood by the bridge. Fatigue was evident on his face, but there was a glow of satisfaction inside him. "It's over," Andrew said with a slight smile. "No, Andrew, it never ends. After every ending there is a new beginning," Eric said in a deep voice. Sophia looked at him. "Are we sure Julian's network is completely gone?" "We've cut every link, disabled every server, but this system is so big that it can re-emerge elsewhere. We have to be attentive," Andrew said, closing the laptop. Over the next few days, the world heard the news of Julian Gray and his network being exposed. It had become the biggest news on media channels. Global leaders applauded the efforts of the Stone security team. But only Eric, Sophia, and Andrew knew the story behind the scenes. There was a stir at Stone security headquarters. The staff had breathed a sigh of relief, but there was deep concern on Eric's face. "Eric, everything has gone well. Why are you still so serious?" said Sophia, putting her hand on his shoulder. "Because, Sophia, I've seen it all with my own eyes. When you are part of such a big conspiracy, there is always the fear that someone else may take advantage of it." Andrew came into the study room. "Eric, I've found something." "What?" "It's a backup server. Julian probably used it to re-establish his network. Location, Athens of Greece." Eric took a deep breath. "So it's not over?" "No, Eric, but this is probably the last link. If we destroy it, it will all be over forever." A few days later, the trio arrived in Athens, the capital of Greece. Athens was famous for its ancient architecture and bustling streets, but this time the city had become another battleground for them. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew took steps toward an old building. Underneath the building was a secret basement, from which the activities of the network were going. "Walk in carefully. It could be a trap," Andrew said softly. As soon as I entered, there was a scene of a large control room, servers, monitors, and winding stairs. There was a man standing in the middle. It was none other than William Cross. "You thought you had finished me, Eric?" said William, his voice coldly. "Why do you think I'm going to leave you, William?" said Eric, brandishing his pistol. "Because you're more emotional than me. But I'd do anything for my destination." William pressed a button. "Protocol Resurrection Initiated" appeared on the screen. "He's going to launch it again," said Andrew nervously. "This has to stop," shouted Eric. Shots rang out in the room. The guards attacked from all sides. Eric and Sophia responded to the firing while Andrew quickly reached the server. "I just need a few minutes," shouted Andrew. "You've only got 2 minutes, Andrew," replied Eric. Sophia knocked down a guard and pointed to Eric. "William is running away." Eric began the chase. The two reach a narrow tunnel where William attacks Eric. "You can't stop me, Eric! Your plot is ending here, William!" There was a fierce struggle between the two. In the end, Eric knocks William down. "This is the end of your greed." Andrew, on the other hand, completely deactivated the server. The screen read, "Protocol terminated." The room suddenly became quiet. The servers went cold. The gunshots had stopped. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew looked at each other. "What? Is it over?" stammered Sophia. "Yes, now it's over." Andrew heaved a sigh of relief. A few hours later, sunlight had spread over the streets of Athens. Police and security agencies were sealing the basement. Eric looked up at the sky. "Few battles are fought not on the field, but on us. And we have won this battle." Sophia smiled and held his hand. "What now, Eric?" "Now, we go back. We start our lives again." Andrew closed his laptop and took a deep breath and said, "It was never an easy journey, but we fought it to the end." The three of them were standing on a deserted hill watching the sun set. There was a slight chill in the air, and there was peace all around. Every battle has an end, but some wounds are always remembered. It wasn't just a story of victory, it was a story of courage, faith, and friendship. Time had passed, but the scars of the wounds were still fresh. The sun was slowly setting across the horizon, and its faint golden rays were falling on the faces of Eric, Sophia, and Andrew. The mission to Athens had ended successfully, but a mixture of uneasiness and fatigue was still clearly visible in his eyes. "Are we really sure it's all over?" said Sophia softly. "Sophia, we've destroyed all networks, dismantled servers, and dropped the mastermind." "This battle is over," Andrew said calmly. "But," Sophia's voice faltered, "could there have been a different end to this?" Eric looked at her. "Sophia, we need to learn to forgive ourselves. We did what was right. This fight has taught us a lot." All three returned to New York. The Stone Security headquarters was fully restored. New security arrangements were made in every corner of the building. International media described the operation as the biggest cyber attack of the century and was foiled by Stone security. Eric was sitting in his office. There were a lot of documents and data files on the table in front of him. Andrew came in. "Eric, we're getting compliments from all over the world. International intelligence agencies want us to work with them. It's a new responsibility, Andrew, but I don't want us to repeat the same mistakes that others have made. We won't. Those experiences have changed us." Sophia was standing at the door. He had a slight smile on his face. "Eric, forget it all for a while and get some rest. Relax? I don't think comfort is on my part anymore." Sophia held Eric's hand. "You've done a lot, Eric. Now it's time to live a little for yourself." The next day, Eric and Sophia were sitting in a park. There were lush green trees, children playing, and a gentle breeze all around. Eric took a deep breath and said, "It's been a long time since I've felt this peace. Because you never gave yourself that chance." There was comfort in Sophia's voice. "Do you remember, Eric, when we first started this company? We had only one dream then, to make the world safer." "Yes, and where did that dream bring us? In a world where friends become enemies, and betrayal lurks around every corner." Sophia said in a low voice, "But still, you didn't stop. You fought, and you won. That's your strength, Eric." Andrew was working on a new project file at Stone Security headquarters. Eric came up to him. "Are you ready, Andrew?" "Ready? For whom?" "For a fresh start. We don't just have to save the world, we need to make it better." "Does that mean we're starting a new project?" "Yes. But this time, we will strengthen people's trust, not just systems." A few weeks later, Eric, Sophia, and Andrew were present at an international cybersecurity conference. Eric stood on stage and gave a speech. "The world is changing. We are in the digital age, where every information, every code, and every network counts. But the most important thing is faith. We live in a world where technology can make us vulnerable as much as it helps us." Eric looked around. "We have fought a war fought between codes, networks, and betrayal. But this story isn't just ours. This is the story of every person who fights the darkness and tries to reach the light." The hall erupted in applause. At night, Eric was sitting in his study. It was raining lightly outside. Outside the window, the moon was shining faintly. He opened a diary and wrote in it, "Every battle teaches us something. Some relationships break, some are strong. But the biggest lesson is that we should never give up." Sophia stepped into the room and said softly, "Are you writing again?" "Yes. This story is not over, Sophia. It's just a new chapter." Sophia smiled and sat down beside him. The waves of the sea were calmly touching the shores. The sun was shining orange. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew were standing atop a hill watching the scene. "This story will never end, will it?" said Sophia. "No. As long as there are dangers in the world, as long as people are in the dark, we have to keep fighting," Eric responded. Andrew said with a smile, "So this is not an end, but a new beginning." The three of them looked at each other and gazed at the distant horizon with a slight smile. Some stories never end. They simply turn into new chapters. Time had passed. The nights in New York were back to their old pace. Stone Security International was now stronger and safer than ever. The efforts of Eric Stone, Sophia, and Andrew had laid a foundation that thwarted a whole series of cyber attacks. But there was still a question in their hearts. Is it really over, or is it just the calm before a new storm? Eric was standing in his office, looking out the window at the twinkling lights of the city. There was deep thought in his eyes and a slight tiredness mark on his face. Sophia came in from behind. "Are you standing alone again, Eric? Sometimes I wonder, was what we did enough?" "We did everything we could, Eric, and that's what matters." Sophia put her hand on Eric's shoulder. "You did what no one else could do, but now you have to learn to forgive yourself. Maybe you're right. but I can't rest until all the holes in the system are closed. In the conference room of Stone Security, Andrew presented a new report to Eric and Sophia. Look at this. A strange activity has been noticed in our internal system. Someone is trying to access the shadow network again. Shadow network? But we had completely dismantled it. Eric's voice hardened. Yes, but it's no one else, someone inside doing it. Someone has inside information. There was silence in the room. Can you trace, Andrew? I'm trying, but this encryption is from a master-level hacker. I need time. You don't have much time, Andrew. We have to stop this. At night, Andrew was sitting in front of a laptop. The codes were scrolling rapidly on his screen. His face was drenched in sweat. Eric, I've found the location. This traffic is coming from Dubai. Dubai? Are you sure? Yes. The location of the IP address has been tracked, but we have to hurry. Eric made the decision right away. We are going to Dubai. It should be the last time. Dubai, UAE, golden buildings and twinkling lights in the middle of the desert. The sight of Dubai was no less than a dream at night. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew were heading towards the location in a private vehicle. This location is on the outskirts of the city. The signal is being sent from there. Andrew said, showing the location on the screen. We have to hurry. If this network is activated again, everything will be ruined. The location was in an old secret factory. There was silence all around. A faint light filtered in from inside. We can't go straight in. We have to get in through the back passage, Eric pointed out. The three entered the factory cautiously. The scene inside was shocking. Huge screens, servers, and codes were flashing on the monitors. There was a man standing in the middle. His back was towards them. The man turned slowly. Oh, Eric, you're here again. It was none other than William Cross. You? But you're so... You were dead. Sophia's voice trembled. It was your biggest mistake to think I was dead, Eric. I never lose. William pressed a button. Suddenly the alarm went off. Red lights flashed all around. What have you done, William? Shouted Eric. This is not the end, Eric. It's just a new beginning. Andrew quickly reached the server and tried to disable it. I need a few minutes. You don't even have 2 minutes, Andrew. William pulled out a pistol and pointed it at Sophia. If you take 1 step forward, Eric, it will be your wife's last day. Eric's hands trembled. William, leave it. You took everything you wanted. Finish it. No, Eric. It won't end. It's just my victory song. Just then, Sophia attacked William. The pistol fell down. Andrew entered the final code and disabled the server. All the monitors went black. The alarms went off. William fell to his knees. No, how can this be? Eric looked at her. It's your end, William. William laughed one last time and said, You think you won, Eric? But the system is never finished. Police and security forces entered as soon as they came out of the server room. William was arrested. Sophia held Eric's hand. Is it over? Yes, Sophia. Now it is over. The three were sitting on the beach of Dubai. The sun was setting, and the waves of Thesea were touching their feet. What now, Eric? Asked Andrew. Now we will live our lives. What we've done is enough. Sophia said with a slight smile. And what if the darkness returns again? Then we will fight again, Eric said in a firm tone. Some stories don't end. They just pause so that the new protagonists can rewrite them with their pen. Time was passing, but it was still taking time for the wound to heal. The glitz and glamour of New York City was in place, but peace in the lives of Eric, Sophia, and Andrew still remained an unsolved puzzle. Stone Security's office was now more secure and modern than ever. Every corner, every system, and every server was working in a foolproof way. Eric was sitting in his office, holding an old photograph in his hand. The picture in which he, Sophia, and Andrew were smiling at the beginning of the company. Do you remember that day? asked Sophia, coming in through the door. Yes. That day we thought we had a dream of changing the world. You did, Eric, but every victory has its own burden, and you've handled it very well, Eric said with a slight smile. But is it really all over, Sophia? Do we really think we've finished everything? Sophia took a deep breath and looked at him. Some things never end, Eric, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting. Over the next few days, Andrew performed a final scan of Stone Security's system. Eric, I think we've broken every link this time. No sleeper cells, no backdoor entry, nothing left. Good job, Andrew. Now it's time for us to rest for a while. 3 months later, a private beach house by the sea. The faint rays of the sun were shining on the water. Eric and Sophia were sitting on the beach watching the waves. Andrew was lying on a swing nearby, reading a book. This peace. It's relaxing. It's like a dream, Sophia said. Maybe it's just a dream, but I want the dream to never end. Just then, a notification came on Andrew's phone. He quickly picked up the phone and began scanning the screen. No. It is not possible. What happened, Andrew? Asked Eric immediately. An unknown network activity has been detected. Location: Moscow. Moscow? But we had destroyed everything, said Sophia, shocked. It's a backup network. Someone has reactivated it. And if it becomes active, everything will start again. Eric took a deep breath. So that means this fight isn't over yet. We have to go to Moscow. Moscow, Russia. The icy winds were blowing. There were white sheets all around. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood outside an old factory. That's where the signal is being sent from, Andrew said, tracing the location on the laptop. This place seems to be the base of some old secret agency. Sophia looked around. We have to go inside. The three entered cautiously. The tunnels were narrow and dark. There were traces of webs and old machines on the walls. Suddenly a screen popped up on Andrew's laptop. Welcome back, Eric. They are tracking us, Andrew said nervously. Keep moving forward. We'll have to find out who's doing it, Eric said sternly. Inside was a large hall. The screen and server were activated again. There was a chair in the middle, and a person was sitting on it. Oh, Eric, you thought it was over? That person was none other than Julian Gray. Julian? But you were dead, said Sophia in astonishment. No, dear, you thought you finished me, but I'm always one step ahead. Julian pressed a button. Phoenix Protocol reactivated, flashed on the screen. You thought you had destroyed all my networks, but this system... It's not that easy, Eric. Eric pointed his pistol at him and said, This time you won't escape, Julian. But Eric, this game is beyond your comprehension. Suddenly, the guards surrounded him. Bullets began to fly. Andrew tried to reach the server, but there was firing from all sides. Sophia overpowered one of the guards and approached Andrew. Andrew, stop it! I'm trying, but this network is securing itself. I need a few minutes more. Eric walked towards Julian and said, It will all end here today. No, Eric. You can never win, because the roots of this system are very deep. That's when Andrew entered the last code on the screen. System down. We shut it down. All monitors went black. The alarms went off. Julian fell to his knees. It is not possible. It's your end, Julian. Eric pointed his pistol and pulled the trigger. It was snowing outside. Police and security agencies were sealing the basement. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew came out and stood up. Now, is it really over? Asked Sophia softly. Yes, Sophia. This time it's really over. The three of them looked up at the distant sky. The faint rays of the sun peeped through the clouds. After every war, there is a new dawn, and this morning had given Eric, Sophia, and Andrew a new life, a life where peace was now possible. The first rays of the sun were giving a light orange tint to the snowy sky of Moscow. Light snowfall continued. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood on the edge of a deserted hill overlooking the city below. Steam was coming out of their breath, and there was a mixture of fatigue, relief, and a strange sadness on their faces. "It's really over," Andrew said, taking a deep breath. "Yes, this time really," Eric said with a slight smile. Sophia looked at him. "We lost so much, and achieved so much." Eric said, looking at the distant horizon, "Every victory comes at a price, Sophia. And we have paid that price." New York, Stone Security International Headquarters. A few weeks later, Stone Security's headquarters was once again bustling. Employees were back in their seats, scrolling data on monitors. Every corner was synonymous with safety and caution. Eric was standing in his office, looking out of the window. Sophia came in. She had a file in her hand. "What is it?" asked Eric. "This is the outline of our new project." "But there's a twist." "Twist?" "Yes. This time we will not just provide security, but create a new system for security, a system that no one can break." Eric looked at the file and said with a slight smile, "So this is our new beginning." A few months later, International Security Summit, London, many big leaders of the world, technology experts, and media were present in a huge hall. Eric was standing on the stage. There was confidence and seriousness in his voice. "We fought a long and hard battle. It wasn't just a story of stopping a cyber attack, it was a story of restoring trust. A story in which we saw how greed, betrayal, and technological power can be put in danger by giving it into the wrong hands. But we also saw how some people, some friends, can destroy this threat with the strength of their courage, determination, and truth." Applause erupted throughout the hall. Eric said with a slight smile, "It's not just a story, it's a warning. We have to be vigilant, we have to get better, and most importantly, we have to stick together." In Stone Security's private villa, by the sea. The sun was slowly setting. The waves of the sea were crashing against the shores. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew were sitting on the beach. There was a burning campfire in front of them. So, that was the end. "Or the beginning?" asked Andrew with a slight smile. "The beginning, buddy. Always the beginning," Eric replied. "But this time, we're ready. We have learned from our mistakes," Sophia said. Eric picked up a stone and threw it into the sea. "Every story has an end, but some stories, they never end. It just turns into a new chapter." The three of them looked at each other and looked at the waves of the sea with a slight smile. A few years later, Stone Security International was now the most powerful cybersecurity agency globally. His name was respected all over the world. Eric was sitting in his office looking at a new report. His hair had turned a slight white, but his eyes had the same old fervor. Sophia was standing at the door. "Are you still working?" "It never ends, Sophia. As long as this world is turning, we have to protect it." Sophia smiled. "Are you ready? For another chapter?" "Always." Final scene. The sun was setting. The waves of the sea were touching the shore lightly. Eric, Sophia, and Andrew stood atop the hill, looking out at the distant sea. Some stories never end. Some battles are never fully won. But as long as there are people fighting for the truth, this world will survive. The three of them looked towards the horizon. The sun was slowly setting, raising hopes for a new dawn. And so a story came to an end. But that wasn't the end. It was just a new beginning.